Our next order of business is to place the patient in pressure control with a FiO2 of 21, PEEP of 6, respiratory rate of 16, PEEP above pressure control above PEEP of 20. Please note pressure control above PEEP, so we're setting delta P. Okay, so now let's see, it's going to be 20 above PEEP, a TI of 1.2 seconds, and rise time of 0.15, and because the patient's compliance is improved, we should be able to make it more sensitive again and go to -1. We'll see, but remember, we always want as sensitive as possible with that auto trigger. So let's see if we get any auto triggers. So here we are in pressure ventilation now. Now notice the change in the shape of the pressure curves. Instead of now having a square flow wave pattern, we now have this exponential decay as pressures within the system rise to the set pressure and then hold there. And so in this case, we can see that looks like pretty much a square pressure waveform. Okay, now the next thing it asks is, once you activate this mode, to monitor volume. Because we're in pressure ventilation now, volume and flow they vary with the patient's compliance and raw and what the delta P is. Well, the delta P is now 20, so notice our peak inspiratory pressure now with normal lungs is 27, and the result is a very high tidal volume. If we actually give this much tidal volume to a healthy patient, we're risking barotrauma, right? Blowing a pneumothorax and the patient doing really poorly. So we want to get back down to an appropriate tidal volume, right? And so we can either do that by setting pressure control above PEEP here, or we can do it in this place. And so either one works. I'm going to just touch it here, I guess, and we're going to reduce it now. Our volume is about double what it needs to be, so that means if we want to half our tidal volume, get down to 450, 400, where we were before, we need half the delta P. So I'm going to put it down to 10 and see if that's correct. So let's hit 10 and see what we get. Okay, we're down to about 500. And our request was to get a tidal volume of around 450. So we're still a little high, so let's go down by one more and see. That should get us in the ballpark. $470. So it went down by about 40. So if I decrease this to 8, that's going to get us down to about 440. I can show you. We're either going to be a little bit above or a little bit below. So we're going to get down to the 30s, high 30s here now on the next. Oh, even 22. Well, that's too low. If we want 450, we're going to go back up by 1 and get just slightly over at 470. Okay. Now, as long as we're not over 8 mils per 7 or 8 mils per kg, we're going to accept that and leave it as it is.